everyone, it's Thomas here. So today I am going to talk about the PMC DB1 Gold speaker. Now, if your first reaction is A, Thomas, is this the new best budget speaker ever? B, Thomas, really? Another stand mount? Why should I care? Let me answer you right away. Now, this is not the new best budget speaker because it costs $1,500 US. B, you should care because it uses a design that is different than 90% of the speaker out there. So why should you care about a design that is different? If you think about it, different designs have different strength. For example, horn speakers are great at being dynamic. Electrostatic speakers are fantastic in creating that big sound stage. So instead of saying, darn Thomas, another stand mount speaker, you should be asking, so Thomas, what does this speaker bring different to the table than other speakers? Now, PMC speakers use transmission line, and that's where they're different. Now, for those of you who want a short history on PMC and want to know how these PMC speakers sound in detail, go check out Sean's video at Zero Fidelity. What I'm going to do instead in this video is to give you a reason why you should consider PMC speakers and put them on your speaker I must listen to before I die list. Perhaps your endgame speaker, you haven't found it yet, is because all the speakers you try up to now doesn't use transmission line. Sure, there are people who don't like transmission line, I get it, but for those of you who have never tried it, maybe this is your ticket to audio nirvana. So today's video, I'm going to split it into three parts. One, I'm going to go over transmission line, then I'm going to talk about my impressions on the DB1, and finally I'm going to end the video with sharing my experience attending a press event where they introduced the PMC top-of-the-line Fenestria speaker in Montreal. Now, I am not a speaker designer, so my understanding of transmission line is really basic. So please understand my position and keep in mind that I've omitted a lot of info with the goal of keeping the video short and to leave the serious design questions to the experts in my comment section. Well, after all, they're always experts in my comment section. So, from my understanding, inside a normal ported speaker, if you look at the area around the base port, it usually is open space. Transmission line speakers differ in that it has a maze lined with special foams from the driver leading to the port. Now, the key here is the output to the port is in phase with the woofer, so it adds to the bass, allowing the speaker to go an extra dB and octave lower into the bass. Now, the first benefit is the speaker is able to produce a deeper bass when compared to another normal ported speaker of the same size. The second benefit is with the upper bass and mid-range detail not masked by harmonic distortion residing in the low frequency, you get a more transparent mid-range. Finally, the last benefit, on top of deep bass, well, although you will not necessarily get earth-shattering bass, you will get tight and fast bass. And by the way, check out this video. This cool video I found on the internet where someone took a $3 cheap speaker and put it in a cabinet built based on the transmission line principle. It's quite interesting because it even includes sound demo. Now, I do wonder how much of a difference it would have made if you put it in a normal ported cabinet. Okay, so let's recap the few points I brought up. Deeper bass when compared to a speaker with a normal port of the same size, tight, fast, and deep bass, transparent mid-range. Now, all this is fine and dandy on paper, what transmission line can do, but how is it in real life? How is the PMC Gold DB1? Now, if you have seen the video I made with Jay from the Next Best Thing Studio YouTube channel titled The Most Surprising Product of 2019, now in that video I said the DB1 lacks bass. Turns out the issue was break-in. For those of you who want to see measurements regarding break-in, GR Research has published some data on it. Now, after break-in, I can feel deep bass. Well, relative deep bass to the speaker size. Now, I don't get visceral chest-pounding bass. Instead, I get very clean and defined bass. Now, this is very evident when I swap from my PMC to my KEF LS50 on my desktop. Now, keep in mind, these DB1 are designed for near-field listening, and they excel at that. The second I swapped to the LS50, I actually had to double check if I got everything connected properly, because the center image and instrument separation was not as good as the PMC DB1, and I was shocked at the difference. In a desktop environment, the LS50 sounds, the bass sounded bloated and unrefined when compared to the DB1. Now remember, I say relatively speaking because after a while, once I got used to the KEF LS50, it sounded amazing on my desk. Just that if you can A/B test with the PMC DB1 that is designed for near field listening, you will hear a significant difference. For you KEF LS50 owners out there, don't worry, the story is different when I use both speakers in a normal environment. The KEF LS50 is a great speaker. Now, another thing I noticed with the DB1 is that the bass output stays consistent regardless of volume. Maybe that's one of the strengths of a transmission line. Next, the clarity from these speakers are phenomenal. And this is where it differentiates itself from budget speakers. Now, when I say these speakers are extremely detailed, I mean the kind where you can hear the saliva of the singer. Now, of course, you need to use resolving front-end equipment for that to happen. The details can rival my focal, but without listening fatigue. Information is presented to me effortlessly, and I love how these speakers handle instruments like guitar. Now, usually metal dome speakers are excellent in reproducing those kind of instruments, but these PMC DB1, despite using soft dome tweeter, can keep up. The way the PMC tweeter sparkles reminds me of the higher end dying audio speakers I used to own. Now finally, the speaker produces a spacious three-dimensional soundstage and with a transparency and depth that I really enjoy. Now I remember the first time when I heard these speakers at my place. I was also testing the Klipsch RP8000F, the Triangle Bro 3, the Bro 8, and a few seconds after listening to these PMC, I had to stop my testing and put everything else away because I lost interest in the other speakers. These speakers are definitely to my taste and way more refined when compared to the others I tried that night. Now, what about areas of opportunity? First, on my desk, although I can live without a sub, I would still recommend a sub. In a normal setup, where you're not sitting close to the speakers, having a subwoofer is mandatory. I'll actually make that 2 subwoofer. Second, they're small speakers, so if you push the volume in a normal setup, you can feel that they're working really hard. And I had to also sit closer than I normally would, so I would say they're for small rooms. Finally, the price. PMC speakers are hand-built in England, and transmission line speakers you require more work to build than normal, so they are more expensive. So, okay, let me wrap up this video at this point. A while ago, I was introduced to the PMC flagship Fenestria speaker at the press event. So, I'm at a press event today. I've been invited for a PMC speaker launch, and I figure, you know what, I'll make a video. This is the Montreal Audio Show. I'm actually here for the free food, man. That's all I care about. But, you know, why would anybody want to hear me talk about a speaker that costs $70,000, $80,000? I thought about it, and it doesn't matter what price bracket you're shopping for, I will make I'll make the video meaningful. It'll make you think at the end of the video. All right, so let's go check out the speaker. It was definitely an eye-opener and a fantastic experience. Now, I was humbled by all the research and money that goes into developing a pair of high-end speakers. Now, for example, the ports on the Fenestria have been shaped and sized to eliminate chuffing, and they were loosely modeled on the principles used to design Formula One cars. Now, this is fascinating because once I know why they designed the port like that, I was paying attention to the port to see if I can hear any chuffing, and I don't. Now, other interesting things include using laser-based acoustic measurement techniques data to adjust their crossovers. Like, whoa, you know. I thought it was really cool. Now, however, why should I care about all this? I mean, I can't afford that $65,000 speaker. Now, one advice someone gave me when I first started my audio journey was you don't have to care about the flagship product of a company because usually those are statement pieces. And most likely, you cannot afford it. What you should care about is what they put in their lower models with what they learned from building the flagship product. This, of course, is what we audiophiles know as trickle-down technology. Now, the PMC Gold DB1 is the second speaker that I've tried, built, based on the transmission line principle. Now, it did achieve many of the things I expected from this kind of design, and hopefully I get to try some of their more higher end models one day and compare them to the other speakers I have. I like to try them at my place because I've heard them at a few audio shows, and I never have a habit of judging a speaker at an audio show. So with that said, I'm gonna end the video. And by the way, between you and me, man, although the press event was really interesting, the free food was the best part and probably the real reason why I'm making this video, to introduce you to PMC. Yep, I was bought off by free food, man. So I'll see you next time.
Eyes glow like two fires, movement so graceful. Wildcat in the jungle with dangerous claws. Movement she anticipates, a sight is set on her prey. Like stars in the darkest night, crystallize, fascinating. If you wanna stay alive, if you don't wanna be her prey, don't stand in her way. Run, run, run away. Crystallize, 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 watching her prey. Crystallize, 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 fascinating. Eyes glow like two fires, movement so graceful. Wildcat in the jungle with dangerous claws. Movement she anticipates, a sight is set on her prey. Like stars in the darkest night, crystallize, fascinating. If you wanna stay alive, if you don't wanna be her prey, don't stand in her way. Run, run, run away. Crystallize, 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 watching her prey. Crystallize, 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 fascinating.